Hi YouTube, this is Michelle of Phoenix Feather Divination, and today I will be sharing the story of my Starseed Awakening. So please do excuse me if I hit my vape. It's a little nerve-wracking, to be honest with you. This is the first time I've shared this story, and I'm getting ready to blow the metaphorical whistle on a lot of social paradigms meant to keep women and men in check, quote unquote. So I've written down some notes, and I want to walk you through the whole process of my awakening, from childhood all the way up until now. There was a shroom trip in between, so stay tuned. So just so we're all on the same page here, the awakening process is very cyclical, right? I don't know if you all have done some research into that, but it is ongoing, and I suggest you do research into that if you're interested in starseeds or if you're going through an awakening process of your own. Like I said, I may sound a little bit crazy at times, but watching other people go through their stories and their starseed awakening helped me feel less alone. So I hope this does the same for you. As we are collectively shifting into the 5D, it is important to get this information out there, because if you feel a certain type of way, you got to know that you're not crazy, that the earth is ascending. So here we are. Starting with my childhood. Okay, I was always kind of like a little different. I got called an alien a lot in school, because y'all can see I have a big forehead. I have a 5 head like Tyra Banks. And I was bullied a lot growing up. I would read a lot of books to kind of disassociate. I was never into playing with toys. I would just kind of want to lay out on the grass and have my cup of water and vibe with the grass. I was like, why would anyone ever want to play with toys? Like, I would try to talk to the grass and the trees. Excuse me. I just had some kava. And I would expect them to talk back to me. Like, I felt really unnatural in my own skin. And I would look at the sky and the stars, and I would talk to the stars. I remember once, actually, when I was 5, I saw different orbs of like blue light going through my body, and my mom told me that they were angels. I grew up in a very Christian household, and so she told me that they were angels, and I didn't think that they were angels, but they definitely felt angelic. They looked more like dragons to me. Yeah, this might be a little bit all over the place, but I promise it's gonna make sense. Here we go. Let me see. I want to tell you guys some more stuff about my childhood that I wrote down. So yes, I was a bit of a troubled child growing up. I never really listened to my teacher or my parents. I kind of felt that they were just feeding me lies. When I found out that Santa Claus wasn't real, I had a cow. Yeah, I was like, how dare you lie to me? And ever since then, I really just didn't trust what they were telling me. So I told you all that we went to church 3 times a week, and although I could kind of vibe with the whole church vibe, it didn't sit well with me that someone was sitting at the front telling me how to interpret the Bible and how to interpret God. To me, it always felt like it's a very internal experience. And it is. the Starseed Awakening is always extremely, extremely personal, and it's not going to be the same for everyone. Let me see. When I was younger, I would see strangers, right? And their eyes would always stick with me. I would have dreams of people that I would just see walking by. And in my dreams, I was just always sending them love and light and healing. And sometimes I couldn't sleep at night because I was so busy praying for everyone, people that I just looked at and whose pain I felt. And I felt like that was what I had to do. I felt like I had to send them prayers and love. So a lot of my nights as a child and as an adolescent were very sleepless, because I felt that that was what I needed to do. I felt like that's why I was here. And I am an empath. I am a healer. So I guess that kind of ties into it. Fast forward to 2015, when I had my first mushroom trip. What? I had like 7 grams of mushrooms by mistake. I didn't know it was that much. It tasted like shit, but the visuals I had were really something else. So first of all, I saw mandala patterns everywhere. Not everywhere literally, but like with the animals, they would create mandala, like ants, they would create mandala patterns on the floor. I was at a park with a lake, so it was really beautiful. I would look out at the lake and I would see crystalline sacred geometry patterns and structures. And I would look at the sky and I would see the same in the clouds. And it all just felt very right to me. It felt kind of like, how could I not see this before? Obviously, it just felt like some deep inner knowledge really resonated with me there. And my soul does originate in Arcturus. I am an Arcturian starseed. So we mess around a lot with sacred geometry and technology and things like that, and energy manipulation. And it was like a veil had been lifted when I just really saw things clearly. I even saw myself kind of laying out on this rocky, watery area. And I was just chilling there, this long ass purple alien, vibing, right? And kind of just feeling the oneness with the universe. Excuse me. And that felt very right. So after I came down from my mushroom trip, I started getting into tarot and different energies and things like that, because suddenly this whole other world had been opened to me. And even though I prayed and I always protected myself, I did open myself up to some more negative energies, and thought I was going crazy for a while. I was like, how old at this point? I was like 19 or 20. And I just stopped doing that because I was like, I can't live like this. Things are not making sense. And there are a lot of negative entities and even like negative aliens out there. I do believe that for the most part they have, I know that for the most part they have good intentions, the best intentions for the human race. They really want to see us ascend and kind of come into alignment with the rest of the world or the universe in heart-centered energy. Which leads me to the fact that if you are experiencing a dark night of the soul, which I think that was actually my first dark night of the soul, and you're going through your own personal awakening, you should definitely protect your energy and cleanse. because I might get some shade for sharing this, but I said I was blowing the whistle. So the Anunnaki, like Enki, which was the good one, and Enlil, those energies are out there trying to inspire fear to keep the current paradigm in place, the paradigm of control. And if you believe in the Illuminati agenda, all of that stuff. And it is all very energetic, and it is also in the 3D. So you have to protect yourself in both ways. Sometime after that, I had my son. My son was he was 2.5 years old when I became homeless by choice, because I lived with I lived in not the healthiest environment, and some things went down, and I was just like, I gotta go. At that point, I was working 2 jobs and going to school full time. I had to drop out of school. I had to leave one of my jobs. And my son and I went to a homeless shelter for 7 months. The homeless shelter was definitely not ideal, but it was better than being home, crazily enough. So definitely wasn't ideal. I was there for about 7 months. They were supposed to help me find housing and pay for that housing for God knows how long. I don't really remember. But living in a shelter came with a whole host of other issues. For example, the Bloods down the street and the crack house across the street. So at about 7 months, I was like at my limit, and I was like, I'm out. I had to manifest myself out of there. Once I decided that I did not want to be there anymore, I literally had a friend step in and say, hey, I'll help you with your down payment, and I'll help you pay your rent, half your rent for a year until you get back up on your feet. And I was like, thank you, God. So I was out of there. Literally the day before I moved, my income tax came in. And so I had about $4,000 to stock up my house. And that was my first time really realizing that I could manifest like that, right? Let me see. So after I got settled into my apartment, I read this book called ET 101. I forgot the rest of the title, but I'll list it in the bio. It was a really, really good read, really quick, short, sweet, to the point. And I actually read that book because something on my newsfeed on my phone popped up about this lady who said that she was an elf on Earth. And, excuse me, something about that just didn't really sit well with me. I was immediately jealous because I love elves and I love fairies. And I thought, why does she get to be an elf and a fairy? And I'm stuck in this weird 3D body where nothing is ethereal and there's no magic in my life. And this just does not feel right to me. So that was my first thought. And then I thought she was crazy because I was jealous. But immediately after that, I had another thought. I thought, wow, this lady who's clearly in a human form says that she is an elf. She had her ears and everything. She was looking real cute. Says that she is a real elf. And she's putting herself out there as an elf. And the rest of humanity is treating her like an elf because she believes that she is one. And that kind of blew my mind a little bit. and really shifted my perspective, because if you believe something and the collective believes it, it becomes real, right? So I started to do a little bit of research on my own about starseeds and stuff like that. She mentioned something about starseeds in her video, and that's what led me to reading that book. Now, that book mentioned the Galactic Council, and at this point, once I finished reading it, of course, before then, I had read online, you know, all of the different lists. Oh, like, you're a starseed if you have these traits and yada, yada, yada. I thought, okay, yeah, whatever. It's probably just because I'm an empath, you know, that like some of those things resonated. But oh my God, I so wanted to be a starseed. Like, I did not want to belong to this planet Earth. I'm just kidding. I chose to be here and I love it. For the most part, it's actually cool. So I read about that, and then she mentioned something in there, or he, I'm not sure who the author is. It was a weird Star Trek-y name, about reaching out to the Galactic Council and Federation if you want to get your Starseed mission and, you know, get on board. So I sat in my room and I did a little prayer, and I was like, I don't know if y'all are out there. I don't know if this is real, but if I am a starseed, I am ready to receive my mission. You know, I need some sort of confirmation just to make sure that I really am, and that I'm not just like creating this alternate reality for myself out of nowhere. So I did that. And then like a week later, I was sitting at a meeting at work. And by this point, I had gotten back into tarot a little bit, and my family is like very Christian, but also very witchy because we're Cuban. So it's a traditional, it's a cultural thing to have like these witchy beliefs and stuff. So I was already into spirit keeping, and I had a little Bronwyn angel, and I was like praying to this angel and, you know, having a conversation, a mental conversation, one-sided. I didn't hear the angel respond. And I was also doing research on star seeds and like the different star systems. And I'm sitting in a meeting at work, and suddenly I see with my third eye myself going through a tunnel. And I see myself as a purple being again. And it's like this angel is telling me that, yes, this is true. This is your reality. And in that moment, I felt such a pain in my heart. I felt so much longing for going back to that feeling of integration and oneness and peace and wholeness with the universe, right? And being much more aware of everything. And it was a little bit hard for me to, you know, be like, hey, yeah, I chose to be here. And after that, it was about figuring out my mission. There's a lot of different starseed missions out there. Not all of them have even been documented, but the chances are that if you are a starseed and you don't know it, you are already fulfilling your mission, even just in your sleep. Excuse me, it's the kava. So a couple of months after that, I quit my job, my lease was up, and I had to fully surrender to the divine. Not like before when I had maintained some of my control, I was still manifesting from a place of fear. I now manifest from a place of abundance. So I really had to surrender. And in that process, I got my Reiki level 2, 3 master levels. And I went through another dark night of the soul. I realized I have superpowers. For example, I would be thinking about something, and then at work, people would start having a conversation about what I was just thinking. It was really weird. And then and then I would think about something else and the conversation would shift. And then another thing that happened to me that made me realize some superpowers and how time is totally an illusion is that I would be having these thoughts about time and like this weird construct, and then time would sit still, right? Like, let's say it was noon, 12. It would sit still. It wouldn't change. And then suddenly it would be like 12:04. It's like it would just get, and that happened to me more than once, and it was pretty startling. I had read about it, but I hadn't experienced it. But it was also cool, more confirmation. So it is very cyclical. Like I said, I've been through more than one dark night of the soul, still surrendering more to the divine, still manifesting. But the main point that I want to draw home is that we are living in the matrix, essentially. We are all one consciousness. And the biggest lie that we have been fed is that we are not divine and that we need to worship other gods. No, we need to worship the divinity within ourselves. And if any of this doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. That's your reality, and I totally respect it. But I just don't think that we should believe everything that we are told. I encourage everyone watching this video to do your own research, look within yourself, find your inner void, and find your inner truth. And, that in itself will help us ascend to the fifth dimension. Mission complete? I don't know. But I hope that this helps you on your journey. Bye.